But somehow, when doing these, I feel closer to God, my higher power, the universe, that thing that beats within all of us, than I do at almost any other time. Somehow, the harmony of everything becomes apparent. An ultra is an extended prayer, an offering of gratitude to be alive, breathing, doing this thing I love, this thing I was built to do. I find that at these races of ultra long distances, there are many people like me there. So I have many friends in recovery, I have many friends in long running, and then if you want to think of the Venn diagram, I have some really great friends of that place where those two things intersect, and there are tons of people where those two things intersect. It seems as if we talked about the question, what's wrong with you, that you would run 100 miles. I find that there is a lot of people who deal with mental illness, with addiction, eating disorder, those kind of things, drawn to that long running game, probably because it takes an obsessive type of mind, probably because you really have to get to know yourself. And here's something I think is interesting. Some people will say, oh, you're exchanging addictions. You know, you gave up booze, you picked up running. I ran through my last drunk, so I can't say that that's true. When you go out and run for 6 hours, after 3 or 4, you feel like you can go forever, and there is a different kind of feeling, you know, if that makes any sense. It's interesting because people seem to like the longer stuff the older they get. You don't see a lot of 65-year-olds running hundreds, but you do see 50 to 55 sometimes winning hundreds. So, and if you're talking about age, let's talk about gender too. You also see a lot of closing that gender gap that, like, you might see in a marathon where men generally finish ahead of women. In 100, I know some women who do what we call chicking a race, meaning they win the race outright. I think that has to do with childbirth and the ability to bear pain, you know what I mean, over long periods of time. Women tend to do better the longer they go, and as far as being compared to men. The next 2 years, just basically talking to people and getting to know people. I chose 8 runners. And some people, when I asked, said, no, I don't want you writing about me. Understandably so, because to me, you're really opening yourself up. You're making yourself very vulnerable, because you don't know what I'm going to say about you. You really don't. So it's a very, you have to feel somewhat naked to say, sure, go ahead and write my story. Because the story writer never gets the story exactly right according to the person whose story it is. Never. But I did my best. And gaiters are just one more thing to keep stuff out of my shoes. You really want to protect those feet. And granted, I'm going to go through streams, creeks, and water's going to get in there and so on. But I need this to be as protected as I can. Here's something else too. One of the most important things I found is regulating body temp. It's a great thing to do in a race. So when I cross a stream, when I'm running through it, a lot of times I might lay down in it too. It's one of the best things I can do for just cooling the body down, is just take a minute to just lay down in that creek. Everything underwater, and just float if I need to for a second. Road shoe is going to be that it's going to just be a bit more aggressive on the treads underneath the shoe. This one's not super aggressive. Some shoes are good for what I think of shoes as dry ground shoes, which are not going to be super aggressive, but I have some softer ground shoes that are going to be almost like football cleats or soccer cleats with some really thick lugs coming off of the end of here, almost like cleats, to just keep moving through mud, snow, any kind of soft ground stuff like that. And now I'm ready to run.